Please be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone here present today and those watching the broadcast and call the December 4th, 2018 regular meeting to order with all board members present. Dr. McQuarrie is on his way. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. If you wish to address the board on any of the agenda items before the board today and your name is not on the speaker list printed on blue paper located at both entrances to the auditorium, and you've not already submitted a request for public testimony form, please complete the form and submit it to Marty Stoltz, the board action officer on your left. Speakers on agenda items will be called on to speak during the discussion of the agenda item. Once discussion begins on an item, no additional public speaker requests will be accepted by the board. Board Bylaw 1025 provides the public testimony on agenda items is limited to a maximum of 20 minutes per consent and/or action item, allowing for a maximum of 10 minutes for and 10 minutes against each item. Public testimony speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker, and depending upon the total number of speaker requests received by the board on an item, the time may be reduced to 2 or 1 minute each. The time limit for speakers on today's agenda items will be announced at each item. We move on to Section B, adopt of the agenda. Is there a motion? We have a motion by Trustee Barrera and a second by Dr. Michael McQuarrie. Please vote. And we have adopted the agenda. On to Section C, public participation. The non-agenda public testimony up to 30 minutes. Today's meeting of the Board of Education is a business meeting of the Board of Trustees that is conducted in public, and board members will not engage in a dialogue with members of the audience. The opportunities for members of the public to provide input to the board on non-agenda matters and items on the agenda is through the submittal of a timely public testimony request. The time periods for speakers on each item will be set by the board as directed by the bylaws and will be announced by the member of the public as each item agenda comes up for discussion by the board. Testimony on non-agenda items is limited to a maximum of 15 minutes per topic. Public testimony speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker, and depending upon the total number of speaker requests received, the time may be reduced to 2 minutes or 1 minute each. If an issue needs further attention, the board may refer the matter to the superintendent for review and/or investigation by appropriate staff. Today, each non-agenda speaker will have the number of minutes so deemed appropriate to address the board. Please remember, no deferral of time is allowed, and the board asks that speakers focus their comments under issues and not on individuals. Non-agenda public testimony is for only those topics not on today's agenda already. If your topic is on the agenda, you'll be called to speak when that subject matter comes up. When you begin speaking, the green light will come on and a yellow light when you have 1 minute left. When your time is up, the red light will appear and the bell or alarm will begin to ring. The lights are located directly in front of the podium on the dais next to Marty Stoltz, the board action officer, on your left. Please finish your sentence when your time is up. We will now hear public testimony on non-agenda items. Citizen and Francine Maxwell, please come forward. You have 3 minutes each. Citizen, Francine Maxwell, and Amy Redding.
So I've been searching for the money that belongs to the students, and I finally found nearly $7 million of associated student body money. And when I tried to get the records from the school district, I couldn't. Now, I know it exists because I've been watching this money, and I was told there are no longer any certificates of deposit, and that's why I couldn't get the records. Well, as it turns out, there are certificates of deposit. There are savings accounts with this money, and this money is to be spent by the children. So someone is not telling the children that this $7 million is in the bank for them. So when I looked at the signatures, it's the principals and the financial clerks that are moving the money around. The principal and the financial clerks are moving around $7 million. Why has this $7 million been in a savings account or certificates of deposit for over 15 years? We've got students out there fundraising and fundraising and fundraising. They're nothing but money churning machines for the high schools. But they have $7 million in the bank. $7 million. So that tells me that there are adults that are hiding this money from the children. And we're talking about the educators that are supposed to tell that these kids are supposed to trust. These are the educators, the teachers, the club advisors that these children should be able to trust. And yet the money has been hidden from them for over a decade. And I can't get those records. There's a very important law called the California Public Records Act. But this school board believes it doesn't apply to this school district because when I ask for the requests, they're ignored. Cindy Martin wants to delete all the emails. She wants to get rid of evidence, and I believe it's because she's trying to hide wrongdoing. You can't get public records. I asked for them, and I was told they don't exist, but I know they exist. I looked at the external audit, and it shows $6.8 million under assets. It's called a liability because this $6.8 million can't be spent by the school district. It has to be spent by the kids. Do you know how many spirit weeks they could have had free pizza for? It's their money, and the adults need to turn it over to the kids and let them know there's all this money in these accounts, and you better start asking these principals and financial clerks why they haven't made sure that these kids have had access to that $7 million.
Amy Redding.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the Kearney Neighborhood Schools as the chairperson and also as the past District Advisory Council chairperson. Tonight, I'm here expressing frustration with the central office's disregard of the Kit Carson School Site Council's wishes with regards to the use of LCFF dollars allocated to the school site to be used at their discretion. The purpose of site allocated funds is so the school site can spend dollars with its unique needs in mind, needs the central office could not possibly know. I understand that the central office thinks its reallocations were in Kit Carson's best interests, but I can assure you the parents do not think so. All the parents see from this display is central office arrogance and a disregard for their input. Myself, as a person well-versed in the spirit of LCFF and LCAP, I see this override as an example of a failure to honor community input in the LCAP. My remarks are timely as we head into the budget season in January, where school site councils will be asked to make budget decisions. My hope is that the trustees will encourage the central office to support, not instruct, site-based decisions. I advise in the future that the central office consult with the school site council before the implementation of changes that are contrary to the site's submitted plan. This shows respect to those that volunteer their time in support of students and families, and it can prevent the central office from making decisions that are a detriment to the school community at most, and in the very least has the central office playing the part of a collaborator. Thank you.
Francine Maxwell. Let the record show that Francine Maxwell is a no-show. All right, on to superintendent and board reports. Item D1 is an information item. This is an update on the development of the University Heights Task Force. Superintendent Cindy Martin, would you please present the item?
Thank you, President Beiser. Back on July 24th, we had a board update. Actually, the board adopted a resolution that was in support of your commitment to preserve and repurpose certain properties on the Normal Street campus. That was what the resolution was, and in that resolution, it included requests to the superintendent to develop a task force and start to gather people to have that conversation. So tonight's just an update on that. I'm moving forward with the planning of activating the task force, and it's comprised of district and community representatives, and we're scheduled for our first meeting coming up later in December before winter break, and this was in alignment to the resolution and also with the passage of Prop YY, being able to get started on the planning. So we've reached out to the stakeholders that were part of that resolution and that have been actively engaged in this neighborhood and in the development here, and we'll begin the planning, and that task force is getting ready to start meeting very soon.
All right, we have two speakers on the item. Citizen, you have 2 minutes, and then Kristen Harms, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, so this has been an issue for a long time about what to do with the old normal school. But there was a time when this school board spent its money on children. It's a long time ago. It ain't this board. And Barrera bucks are going to be used for this political payback, because that's what this University Heights task force has turned into. This is about the adults, not the children. It's not about lead in the water. It's about Barrera keeping his promises to a special interest group. And once again, he's going to use our bond money as his personal credit card. Now, the public was told that this bond money would be used to get rid of the lead in the water and get rid of the asbestos. But that's what you guys said in 1998, and 2004, and 2008, and again this November. Instead, you're going to go full steam ahead to restore this old building because Richard Barrera has little back deals going with people of this community. And I think it's a shame that instead of getting rid of the asbestos and making sure the kids had clean water and cleaning the bathrooms up, I've seen what you guys call refurbishing the bathrooms. It wasn't much. It was a little bit of paint that doesn't hide the smell of the urine and some dividers. It wasn't much. We still have filthy bathrooms that our children don't want to use. So this is very disappointing to see this. This is just the next step to getting your brand new Ed Center. I can see John Lee Evans already planning to order his brand new furniture for his brand new office. That's what this is about, and it's the first step. You watch. It'll be swimming pools and everything Barrera wishes for.
Kristen?
Hi. Well, on behalf of the Community Coalition of University Heights, I would like to thank the supervisor, Martin, and the Board of Directors, or excuse me, the Board of Education for continuing to involve University Heights in your decision-making about this very important site, which is more than just an old building. It's the namesake for our community and the original site of San Diego State University. Your steps to preserve these important landmarks is really a great win, not only for our community, but for all of San Diego, and for the children and their parents and the families of this community and really of all of San Diego to have this important asset. So we very much look forward to meeting with the board and district representatives as part of the task force to create and implement a plan for preserving and repurposing these important buildings for the joint use of students and neighborhood families. So thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the speakers on item D1. This is an information item. Any comments or questions from the board members? All right, well, let's move on to item E, which is the board consent agenda. Do I have a motion? We have a motion on the board consent agenda. Is there a second? We have a motion from Trustee Barrera and a second from Dr. McQuarrie. Please vote.
I was going to speak on E2.
Oh, I apologize. Citizen, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, so this again has Richard Tricky Dick Barrera smell all over it, okay? Union activities are political activities. And this agenda item means that Martin has allowed staff time to be used to create this document and to put it on the agenda. It doesn't belong here. The San Diego Education Association is a union. And it's political. And of course, Barrera has a lot of promises he's got to pay back, as McQuarrie does and Kevin, because they get a lot of money from the San Diego Education Association for their re-elections. And so now we've got this resolution, which is nothing more than the San Diego Unified School Board meddling in the business of Gompers. Gompers exists as a charter because this school board failed those kids in that community. And the community came forward and said, we've had it with you people. We're turning Gompers into a charter. And now Richard Barrera and John Lee Evans are sticking their hands in there again. It's working. Leave it alone. Stay out of it. And quit spending our taxpayer money on your politics. It's illegal. You did the wrong thing. Martin's not going to do anything. You know, the $1 million superintendent over here owes it all to Barrera, so she's not going to say a thing about using public employees and public time and resources to put this on the agenda. It's political. It shouldn't be here.
Okay, we do have several speakers on item E2. So Dolores Garcia, you have 2 minutes, followed by Mary Davis.
Thank you, Board of Education, for taking your time to listen to me. My name is Dolores Garcia once again. I've been at Gompers Secondary, Gompers High School, Gompers Middle School, Gompers Charter Middle School, and Gompers Preparatory Academy, and I'm an employee there as well. I've worked there in different positions, and I'm blessed to be there. So I've seen our school go from a public school to an independent charter school. I'm asking for us to postpone this resolution, as I've seen the division on our campus lately. We were a family at one point, and now things have changed. I'm a community member as well. I've walked these streets, I've lived these streets. I was a person that was left. I was a high school dropout because my school, San Diego Unified, unfortunately, just let me fall through the cracks. At Gompers Preparatory Academy, we've made a difference. We've changed. What I disagree with is how our teachers handled this situation, not inviting all teachers to the table. They did not include our parents to even ask the staff if a union was even to be brought to our school. We disagree with it. I'm just asking that all teachers are included, that all teachers are told the truth about what's really going on, to include the community, because we did do a lot of hard work on our campus to clean it up, and we've made a difference in Southeast San Diego. 92102 has changed. 47th and Hilltop has changed. All because we could go outside of our job descriptions. We can go outside and do the work for our students first. So I'm just asking if we could postpone this, do it right. Thank you.
Mary Davis. Followed by Victor Ramirez.
First of all, I want to say thank you for hearing me tonight. This is my first appearance. I've been teaching at Gompers for 7 years. I have taught in other school districts, and I choose Gompers. I chose it because it was a charter. I came from the business world, and I came to the charter to reform education. and to ensure that every kid and all kids were put above everyone. It was first students, and students first only. When we make decisions, it's based on that. And I'm here to tell you that not all teachers. Richard, you knew that I was going union before I did. I got your letter in my box telling me that I was going to be unionized without knowing it. I went to a union organizing informational meeting where I was told my voice was too bad it's excluded. We have a majority, we're moving forward. That's democracy. That's not democracy in my book. My voice should be heard. We worked, and I wasn't a part of the 15 years ago that we went charter, but I know we've made a lot of huge inroads. We have a 99.9% graduation rate. Our other community school is 78%. San Diego Unified is 87%. Most of the schools, where there are wealthy neighborhoods, they have that 90% graduation rate, but not in our inner city school, where I choose to work. I live in Encinitas. I choose to come down here and make a difference for kids who don't have that choice or a parent behind them. And because my voice wasn't heard, and Sharon, I did write a letter to you, I did not get a response. I'm kind of disappointed. So my request for you is to postpone this vote till we have allowed to talk.
Victor Ramirez, you're next. Followed by Emilian Castilla.
I on behalf of Gompers. Basically, I just wanted to tell you guys I'm not informed about what happened at the school, and I just wanted to guys let you know we're not agree to have a union on Gompers. Since Gompers is out, it's a charter for 14 years. The kids are doing great. A lot of kids going to the university, and a lot of kids big succeed. I have 2 kids. The first one is doing perfectly great with 4.3 GPA. So I don't understand why you guys have to include union. The teachers knew Gompers don't have union. They already know. They already signed the contract. Why they have to organize without letting the parents and the other teachers know about what happened? And let me tell you a couple things I noticed. The best thing that has happened to GPA is becoming a charter school. Director Rivero should have parents being informed of your decision to be a union. I don't think it's fair just to have a decision and not letting the family know about what happened. The other thing is, what is the reason why you guys want or need a union if the director is willing to work with you on your necessities or your needs? You were aware of what you was expected of each one of you upon hire, and that there was no union there. What happened on these 14 years Gompers charter? It's just students be succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amelia Castillo. Followed by Jessica Chapman. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, and thank you for allowing me to express my disagreement to the resolution. My name is Emilia Castillo, mother of a child of a 7th grader at GPA, a child at Horton Elementary. Our community in Southeast San Diego, District E, loves the sanctuary that is found at GPA. This is a great asset to our community, union-free. We wish to continue to be union-free so that the school's phenomenal performance with students' first mission continues. Please recognize and allow our community to continue to have this school choice as is. Our plea to not grant this resolution will show your interest, all of yours, interest in our children's academic success. Thank you.
Jessica Chapman, followed by Anahi Maldonado.
Good evening, thank you. I'm Jessica Chapman, and I teach social justice at Gompers Preparatory Academy. And what kind of social justice teacher would I be if I didn't speak up when I was not given a voice about something that directly affects me? I was not consulted. I have been at GPA for 6 years, and I was not consulted if I even thought that this might be a good idea. We are asking to postpone the agenda item until everyone that will be affected at GPA has their voice heard. We have already started collecting signatures and have over half of the 30% that we need to be able to send into PERB to tell them that we would like to have an election about our representation. In the interview, Director Riverall, as a teacher, asked me, are you okay that this is a non-union school? My response to that was, that's the only reason I am here. I have a voice at a charter school, and I do not have to involve the politics that comes with a union. We are already experiencing the politics of a union, and we don't even have one yet, but we're experiencing it because when I talk to my leadership, they have to say, I cannot discuss that with you without a lawyer. That is not what Gompers is about. We have been an open door policy since the moment I got there, and we have grown so much in the 6 years since I've been there. And the reason is because we can change things, because we can speak up and we can say, this isn't working for our students. What can we do differently? If a union is involved, that will change. And we will not have the ability to do what is best for our students, and that is the mission of Gompers Preparatory Academy.
Thank you. Anahi Maldonado. Followed by Sean Bentz.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Anaí Maldonado.
Hello and good afternoon. Her name is Anaí Maldonado.
Yo vengo porque estoy representando a mi hijo y también a mi comunidad como madre de un niño de GPA. Estoy hablando en este momento porque estoy muy preocupada de la situación. La verdad pienso que no debería de cambiar la escuela porque le da un soporte muy importante a nuestros hijos, a la comunidad, porque antes yo tengo entendido que la escuela estaba muy perdida y ahorita la verdad yo estoy muy contenta como es.
She's here representing her son and her and niece and the community, and she's here to say that she's very happy with the way the school is now, and she's very preoccupied and expresses concern to the changes that wants to come along.
Y yo pienso que los maestros que están pidiendo que la situación cambie tenían entendido ellos cuando fueron a pedir el trabajo que esta escuela era diferente. Entonces pienso que también como ellos me gustaría que tomaran en cuenta a los niños y los sometieran a alguna votación y que ellos mismos dijeran si les gustaría que su escuela cambiara, porque pienso que para ellos es importante también como para los adultos y pienso que es más importante para los niños sentirse a gusto en una escuela como a ellos les gusta estar que para nosotros mismos, porque ellos son los que pasan todo el día en esa escuela. Y yo cuando me levanto y le digo a mis hijos que van a ir a la escuela, ellos ya están levantados a veces antes que yo. Les encanta esa escuela, ellos salen tarde de la escuela y no quieren ni que yo los recoja temprano. ¿Por qué? Porque aman su escuela, porque aman a sus maestros y les gusta cómo los atienden ahí. Y cuando yo he ido a juntas, yo entro y no falta quien me diga, señora, ¿necesita ayuda? He ido a otras escuelas porque he tenido mi hijo en otra escuela y no es así.
So she says that she wishes that she had The teachers knew when they came into the school that they knew well in advance that it was a non-union school, and they knew what they were going into. And so we would really appreciate if we gave the students a say-so, an opportunity to express their concern and their happiness and satisfaction of being a GPA. She says that her children get up before she does in the morning because they're so excited to go to school on a daily basis. They even asked to stay after school so that they could continue to participate in the school environment that's so welcoming. She's been to other unified school district schools where she goes into the office and she hasn't had like a warm welcome. Unlike GPA, when you walk in, people are concerned and they acknowledge your presence and say, how may we help you?
Okay, thank you. Sean Bentz, followed by Allison Baer.
I'm a bit nervous, even though I know all of you. My name's Sean Bentz, and I've been a teacher at Gompers Preparatory Academy for 10 years. And Mr. Barrera, I met you almost my first weekend there, where you showed up on campus, and I was there on Saturday, and you asked why I was there. Do you remember? And I chose to be there, and I love every moment I'm there. I'm there for my kids. Dr. Mike, you know as well. Mr. Evans and President Beiser. I was not included. I was excluded. I was discriminated against at my school by my other teachers. I don't know why, but the first time I found out about it was your letter, Mr. Burra. And I really appreciate that you came to our graduation and you support 100% our hard work, and I know that. I know, Cindy Martin, you 100% support our school. I know that. But what some of the teachers did to divide all of us is not acceptable. And I'm asking if you could postpone this until all the teachers are heard, because I wasn't even heard at all. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Please postpone this until, if it goes through by PERB, great, then do the resolution. But right now, it's kind of like jabbing something into us. We were a family, and the other teachers came together and abused that family, that connection we had. And that wasn't acceptable when I found out about that. So if you can please postpone the resolution, just as a courtesy for leaving our school the way it is and not dividing us, because we're doing great things, and we want to help the rest of the community do great things too. So thank you. Thank you.
Allison Baer, followed by Eduardo Velazquez. Yeah, sorry. I apologize. It's kind of hard to read some people's handwriting. Thank you.
Hello.
Go ahead, ma'am. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Nurse Ali at school, the Gompers School. My formal name is Allison Baher. I've been a school nurse for over 10 years and 2 years at Gompers. The reason I'm up here today is because I was one of those persons that they got to sign but not knowing exactly what I was signing. So how I was presented was behind closed doors, my doors, in my private office, and they were asking for support for the teachers. And when I heard support, I said, well, why wouldn't teachers need support? I'd be happy to help out with that. Never once did I know I was signing any type of petition to become union or any document that stated they needed my signature to unionize. So I'm really, really appalled that they got that kind of behind everyone's back, and I asked them to remove my signature, and that's all I'd like you to hear our voices, those who don't want a union and were tricked into signing a paper that was for union when that was never my intention. So I as well would ask if everybody could just postpone this so that you can hear everyone's voice and go from there, instead of how this has been done. Our school was a nice family. It was wonderful. Right now, it's so divided that half the teachers are hiding, and the other half are out and about, don't know what to do, don't know who to talk to, don't know what to say. It's been very clandestine and kind of done behind everybody's back, and I don't think it was fair.
Eduardo, followed by Eddie.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Eduardo Velasco.
Good afternoon, my name is Eduardo Velasco.
En primer lugar, quiero hablar acerca de los maestros que quieren hacer el cambio.
First, I would like to mention the teachers that want to make a change.
Es muy buenas sus ideas, pero hay otras escuelas que las necesitan más que nuestra escuela.
They have great ideas, and we feel that there's other schools that really need those ideas.
Nuestra escuela se nota en cómo es, lo positivo que son los estudiantes, lo respetuosos que son los estudiantes cuando caminas por la escuela.
You recognize and you see the respectfulness of the environment and of the students that are at the school.
Por eso invito a esos maestros a que vayan a otras escuelas que sí tengan problemas.
And this is why we ask those teachers to please go to other schools and help those schools that have issues.
Esta escuela es el santuario de mi hijo.
This is my son's sanctuary. This school is my son's sanctuary.
Mi hijo se siente todavía mejor en la escuela que hasta en su propia casa. Y no puedo creer que traten de cambiarla.
My son feels even more at home at the school than in his own house, and he can't believe that there's even a thought to try to change that.
Por eso les pido, les ruego, les suplico que no la cambien, que no aprueben la resolución. Estamos en contra de la resolución.
This is why we ask for the resolution not to go through, and we are against the resolution.
Los invito a ustedes a que caminen en la escuela y van a notar a nuestros estudiantes lo respetuoso que son.
We invite you to come to our school and walk through the halls and see for yourselves how respectful the children are, the students are, and the environment.
Y gracias a los maestros que sí van a desquitar su cheque y no van nomás por
Thank
dinero.
you. That's time. Go ahead and translate his last sentence, please.
He just said thank you to those teachers who do show up and earn very well their paycheck. Okay.
Okay, Eddie, followed by Azucena Garcia.
So hello. I'm Eddie Velasco, a student at Gompers Preparatory Academy, and I am really nervous right now because first of all, I didn't expect this meeting to happen, and second of all, the school district is planning a change to put teachers first instead of the students, and we need every ounce, and us students need every ounce of support that adults can have. I feel really safe at Gompers, as my father said, and if I can't feel safe at Gompers, I don't know anywhere else I could feel safe at. I'd like to postpone this resolution. I'd like to help postpone this resolution and make it so that every single student at Gompers feels at home, so they could be placed above everyone else in the school. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Azucena Garcia, followed by Puneet Gill,
Hi, good evening. My name is Azucena Garcia. I am a member from the community in Southeast. I attended Gompers from 7th to 12th grade back in 99 to 2005, so I was there before the charter started. I graduated in 05, and I came back, and I'm teaching at Gompers Preparatory Academy now. It's my 4th year teaching integrated math 3 in 11th grade. And I still live in the community. I live on 47th and Market, which is like a couple blocks from GPA. We, the organizing committee here at Gompers, have been democratic throughout the process of organizing our school. From day one, all of the organizing committee members' names have been known to all credentialed members of staff, and we collected signatures from over 75% of our credentialed staff in support of forming a union. We want to continue with the strong leadership we have today. We want to continue working with them and are hoping to bargain in good faith, but our efforts have been undermined and we have been subject to personal attacks and retaliation. We and members of the organizing committee have suffered attacks from an anonymous group on campus who created a website and sent multiple emails in opposition to our organizing. This new attempt to delay is anti-democratic because we now have a few people who are trying to go against what the majority has already decided. All voices have been heard and the majority has spoken in favor of our school organizing. Thank you.
Thank you. Puneet Gill. I don't know if I pronounced the name correctly. Puneet Gill.
Thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. It rarely happens.
I pronounced it correctly?
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
No, thank you.
Wow.
I'm Puneet Gill. I'm a 3rd year at Gompers Preparatory Academy, and I'll be reading a letter on behalf of the Gompers Preparatory Academy Organizing Committee. To our parents, students, GPA alumni, and family, and community. We are dedicated and passionate teachers at Gompers Preparatory Academy. We love our charter school and we love our students. We are fully committed to fulfilling the GPA mission and vision and want to continue the work of guiding our school and our students toward college and beyond. It is for these reasons we have decided to unionize our school. Over a week ago, a supermajority of our colleagues signed our union support petition and submitted it to the Public Employment Relations Board of the state of California. We are excited to join the nearly 300 union charter schools across California, many of the highest performing charter schools in San Diego, including Darnell Charter School, the Preuss School, Steel Canyon Charter High School, and Helix Charter High School are all union. We believe that educators have a real voice in important decisions at our school, and it is the best way for us to advocate for our students and truly put our students first. Over the next few months, we will begin the process of getting input from our colleagues so we can start working with the administration to establish our first union contract. We will be reaching out to parents, students, and alumni and other GPA community members to get your input as well. We think our school will run best with all of our input counts, and we look forward to closely working with all of you. To that end, we will be holding an informal meeting for parents and community members on December 13th at 5 p.m. at the San Diego Education Association. If you'd like to speak with someone from the organizing committee, feel free to contact us at gpa.teachersassn@gmail.com. With Students First, Gompers Preparatory Academy Organizing Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Devera Scott. Is Devera Scott here? Or anybody with the last name Scott? All right. Maya Sykes. Maya Sykes, S-Y-K-E-S. All right, please come forward, ma'am. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Maya Sykes, S-Y-K-E-S last name. I am not a teacher at Gompers, but I have been a teacher at two schools that are charter that are unionized. And so I'm just here in support for charter educators being unionized because it is a voice to teachers who are working in unions. And I did meet with some teachers from Gompers last week, and what I'm saying to you is what I said to them. Yes, if they're happy with their current leadership, that's great, but leadership may change, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So why not memorialize all of the good things that are happening right now in Gompers to continue to make your school, student first, and memorialize that with the union, working together collaboratively with your teachers. So that way, no matter what leadership may happen down the line, 10, 15, 20 years from now, that what the teachers know to make their students successful at Gompers will remain. Thank you.
Thank you. Tricia Harding. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Tricia Harding. I've been teaching at Gompers Preparatory Academy for 4 years, 8th grade math. We came back tonight to remind those opposed to our teachers organizing that we love our school. There's been a huge amount of misdirection and lies directed at the organizing committee, as well as undue influence over some of our fellow teachers. We are sorry to hear that some of admin and several of other staff members have been giving you misinformation. Some of those individuals are employees on loan from the district and are members of their own unions by choice. They have maintained and remained members of their own unions by choice and have recently fought and negotiated to maintain that option. So we would like to clarify for any who would listen, we are going to keep our charter in place and we want to maintain our independence from the district. We are trying to preserve all of the amazing things that we love about Gompers. Our students will always be our #1 priority. Our commitment to them is unwavering. We aim to join some of the best charter schools in San Diego, which are unionized and have maintained their independence and their academic excellence. The changes we want to make will serve our students better, strengthen our school and our teaching staff, and help ensure a successful future for Gompers. The resolution simply calls on the GPA board, their leadership, and their staff to respect our right to organize. We ask you to approve this consent item and ensure that our rights are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Dever Scott. Okay, all right, let the record show that Dever Scott is not responding to their opportunity to speak. All right, that concludes public testimony on the agenda item E2. Are there any board members' comments or questions?
Yes.
Who'd like to begin? Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to hear it articulated for the public and for all of us what the rules are concerning unionization in the state of California, because I know the school district is governed by certain state laws and whatnot. So can somebody just articulate that, of those rules for everybody here?
General Counsel, are you prepared to answer that?
I'm sorry, I'm not at this time.
Okay.
If you give me a few minutes, I'd be happy to.
Okay, so let me go ahead and read the resolution, because I think that let's just kind of read through the resolution so we all understand what actually it is that we're considering. Whereas the San Diego Education Association has formally petitioned the California Public Employee Relations Board to be certified as the association representing non-management certificated educators at Gompers Preparatory Academy, GPA. Whereas the above-mentioned petition attests to enjoying support from a majority of non-management certificated educators at GPA. Whereas the GPA board and staff leadership have been made reasonably aware of the petition made by the non-management certificated educators at GPA. Whereas the California Education Employee Relations Act, or EERA, pronounced sometimes ERA, explicitly protects the right of public sector workers to organize. It's California state law. And associate with organizations like the San Diego Education Association. So it's California state law that's really at play here. Whereas GPA's own charter and charter renewal agreement expressly declare GPA to be the exclusive public school employer within the meaning of ERA. Whereas ERA prohibits public school employers from interfering in employees' decision to join organizations like the San Diego Education Association. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the San Diego Unified School District Board of Education calls on the management, leadership, staff, and board of GPA to engage with their organizing employees in a lawful, respectful, and productive way. So that's the resolution. Okay, so does that help inform any questions? Or Andrew Donovan, did you want to go ahead and just visit with the board in response to Dr. Whitehurst-Payne's question about what laws are involved here?
Sure.
And what is this all about?
Sure. This is governed by the Employee Relations Act. It's California law, which allows educational employees to unionize. To create a union, a petition needs to be submitted to PERB. That's the Public Employees Relations Board, and it must contain the signatures of a majority of the employees who would be in the bargaining unit. And then PERB makes a decision as to whether the standard is met, and if so, the petition is granted.
Does this resolution have any bearing on that course of action or the decisions of PERB and the possibility of an eventual vote, whether or not the staff wants to form a union? Does this resolution affect that at all?
No.
Oh, interesting.
President Beiser?
Yeah, Dr. Evans, go ahead.
Yeah, I know this is on the consent agenda, and I didn't expect a lot of people to come and speak about this tonight, but as I looked it over, a day or two ago, my problem is I'm not fully informed about this issue. I don't know exactly what's been going on. And I know many times we have resolutions that I fully agree with in spirit and sometimes vote for them without looking at all of the details and sometimes regret it. But first of all, let me state very clearly that I fully support the right of workers, teachers, anyone to organize and form a union. I also believe that management should be respectful in terms of doing that. I know that sometimes unions organizing is a little bit complicated because management can do a lot of things that are, could be classified as basically union busting in terms of not allowing it to happen. I've received reports, and I don't have any of this verified over the last couple of days. I think one speaker mentioned today that some of the teachers said that they didn't know that they had signed a petition in terms of forming a union. Part of my response to that is I think any teacher or any other educated person should fully read what they are signing. Our last meeting, a group of teachers came to us and spoke about this formation of a union at Gompers. I don't know whether or not they had already addressed their own board before they addressed this board. I don't have that information. Again, a lot of this is hearsay. But I do think that obviously on the thing in the resolution that says the management should be respectful and so forth, I agree with completely. But I'm a little concerned when it says that there's sort of an implication that the management is not being respectful, and I don't know, again, I don't know whether or not that's the case. So teachers are fully in their right to organize. Good management will deal with unions. We have many great schools that don't have unions, other great schools that do have unions. I think, as President Beiser was pointing out, we are not the decision makers. What we're saying here has no bearing on the decision by the state board or by the teachers at the site as far as whether or not a union is formed. But even though this is not binding, it's difficult for me to support this resolution when I need to gather more information about what's going on. And so that's why I can't support this resolution this time. I realize that some people will might misinterpret my vote in terms of not being supportive of the right to form unions, because I certainly do, but I just don't think that we need to interject ourselves at this particular point in time, or at least myself, without having the full picture of what's going on.
All right, Dr. McQuarrie?
Yeah, so I want to clarify make sure people understand the action that's being requested here. I've got several questions for legal counsel, I suppose. Am I correct in that the school board here is asked to make maybe basically 3 types of decisions as it relates to charters? One would be the authorizing the initial petition, and we vote yay or nay.
Correct.
The second one is 5 years later, or 4, then the board acts in another official capacity, and that's to authorize the resubmission of the renewal of that petition.
Correct.
The only other time, and I think the board acts, is if there's a major revision to the contract. Is that correct?
The board would vote to approve or deny a material revision, and if there were a revocation proceeding, the board would have that option.
So my sense, those are the 3 main categories.
Correct.
So, I guess, the basic question is the formation of a union or the decision of a charter to have or not have a union, is that a major revision? Requires us to take action to approve or disapprove?
It does not.
So basically, there's nothing here that we're being asked to either approve or disapprove the formation of the union. So that what I heard here, a number of the issues that people brought forward are good issues, need to be discussed and need to be addressed, but not to this board. We're not making the decision about whether there is a union or not, or whether that change. We would make a decision if there was a major revision in your charter, but that's not being asked here. So what we're doing here is acknowledging the fact that a petition has been submitted. We're acknowledging the fact that there is a discussion that needs to take place at the charter. And we're acknowledging the fact that we hope that that's fair and it's open and it engages the various stakeholders and the people who are involved. We are not approving or disapproving the formation of a union.
To clarify, neither this board nor the Gompers board has any power to approve or not approve a petition to become a union. That is solely the purview of PERB, and it is based solely on whether the petition was sufficient in that it had the required number of signatures. If there are believed to have been irregularities in gathering those signatures or other instances of concern, those should be brought to PERB.
Thank you for clarifying it. So basically what we're asking is for there to be the conversation held at the appropriate place, the appropriate time, with the appropriate people, and we want to give our in support of Gompers to have that conversation, hold it respectfully, hold it openly, hold it transparently, and do due diligence in discussing this very important issue.
Dr. Whitehurst-Payne, you had said you wanted.
I guess my question is, and the reason I had the law read is why do we weigh in on this when we don't weigh in on other things related to the charter other than the approval of the charter? Because it's an independent, I mean, that was what the state said. This is an independent group. They have their own board. They do whatever. But why are we weighing in on this now?
Richard, do you want to respond to some of the questions? Okay.
Yes, thank you, President Visor. And let me give an answer to the question that Vice President Whitehurst-Payne, why are we doing this? I think what's been clarified so far is it is not our responsibility or authority to decide whether the certificated staff at Gompers forms a union. It's also not our responsibility or authority to determine whether the process has been followed as laid out under the law. It is our responsibility and authority to provide oversight over any charter school that is authorized by this district, and part of that oversight is to make clear that we expect the leadership of any charter school to follow the law. And in this case, we have a group of certificated staff that have come forward, formed an organizing committee, are petitioning PERB, are in the process of asking for recognition under PERB, and if that recognition is granted, to then go through the process of collective bargaining, all of which is laid out under the law. However, I believe that it's important that we make clear that when we have a group that is taking, frankly, an extremely courageous step to move forward and organize and have their voice heard, that process needs to be respected. It needs not to be attacked. It needs not to be interfered with. It needs not to be mischaracterized. It needs not to be identified in a way that promotes division and promotes fear within a community. I don't hear anything coming from the members of the organizing committee that's divisive or that's about creating, fear within the Gompers community. In fact, I hear the exact opposite. I hear an incredibly respectful group of people that are committed to the success of their students, but who are saying we want a voice. And that process needs to be respected. And I do believe it is appropriate and the responsibility of this board to be clear to the administration of this school that, I'm sorry, but the reality in this country is that very often when a group of employees make the decision, their own decision, to organize and form a union and enter into the process of collective bargaining, that often the response from the employer is to not respect that decision and is to attempt to interfere with that decision. I'm not saying that that's happening here because the resolution doesn't speak to complaints that we've received yet from members of the organizing committee. I think we were actually conscious to leave out of the resolution an implication that we have so far received complaints that the process is not being respected. However, I do believe that it's appropriate at this moment that we express our clear expectation on the part of the management of Gompers that the process will be respected and that the law will be followed. And therefore, I would ask, the support of our colleagues, and I understand, that we're in different places, potentially on this resolution, but I would ask the support of our colleagues to indicate that, number one, we expect the law to be followed, and number two, we don't actually buy in to this notion that because a group of certificated staff come together and make their own decision to form a union. I will say I'm a little troubled to hear that in interview questions, teachers are being asked, do you understand that this is a non-union environment? Because that's not the decision of management to declare that a school is a non-union environment. It's the decision of the teachers to decide whether or not that environment will be union. But I believe that, and we've heard the organizing committee has organized a meeting for the community to open up and begin this positive dialogue. I believe there's absolutely no reason that if the organizing committee is recognized and the collective bargaining process goes forward, that can't be done in a way that brings the community together. I don't believe that this is by its nature a divisive action. I believe the reaction to this action has been divisive, and therefore I would ask the support of my colleagues in expressing our clear expectation that the law will be followed in this situation.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, I do have a couple of comments and questions. First of all, there's a lot of misinformation that I heard tonight that I think is unfortunate, and I realize as a teacher that this is a potential teachable moment. Several people said that they don't want the board to vote to make Gompers a charter school, the charter school a union. Some people said that they're parents and they weren't a part of the process. And then there's some concerns also about if the school does become a union charter school, that in some way that means the school will not succeed anymore, that means that the children will not be safe anymore. And that kind of rhetoric is alarming to me, and it's really unfortunate because Preuss, which is one of the highest performing charter schools in the state of California, they had been a non-union charter school for many, many years, and then the teachers at Preuss, following California state law, had a petition, decided they wanted to become a union, then they voted on it, and then the employees, the teachers, decided amongst themselves where everybody's voice was heard in the vote, and then Preuss became a union charter school. And Preuss continues to be Preuss. It didn't change. It still is the most amazing academically performing school in the state of California. I believe we also heard from a speaker, and there's other facts, that Helix Charter, phenomenally high-performing school, Steel Canyon Charter, Darnell Charter, very high academic performance. In fact, if you take a look at the data of the 300 charter schools that have voted for them amongst themselves to become union charter schools, are the highest performing charter schools in the state of California. And so I think that there's some information and evidence and facts that I think everybody needs to understand. This board does not have a decision here at all. Not once do we vote whether or not a school goes charter or goes union or not. That's not a decision that this board makes. We are not voting on that at all. We never will. We will never vote whether or not a school becomes a union shop or not. That's not our decision. That's only the decision of the people that work in that school, because they have jobs. This is their job. And so the people that work, there's a process. And it's our job to make sure that the process is in compliance with state law. State law clearly spells out how employees at their job can decide whether or not they want to vote to become a union or not. And so I believe that all the voices will be heard when the employees vote. And that vote, we don't even run the vote. We have no influence, or we don't run the vote. The vote is run by PERB, which is a state organization in Sacramento. A lot of people say that they want to delay this resolution, and that's what a lot of people are calling for. this resolution doesn't do anything. It doesn't. This is not an action item. If it did anything, then it would be an action item. A resolution is just a statement of belief or idea. And in the resolution that I read earlier, it talks about, it just states several facts. Fact 1, that this is governed under California state law by PERB. Fact number 2, the process is articulated in California state law. Fact 3, did a majority of the employees at that job sign a petition, and the PERB is evaluating the validity of those signatures. I believe that's a part of the process also. So the process isn't complete. And then PERB in Sacramento, then they will decide based on different timelines articulated in state law, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, whatever that is, when there will be a vote. The administration at Gompers doesn't run the vote. The teachers don't run the vote. This board and the school district and the central office, we don't run the vote. PERB from Sacramento runs the vote to make sure that it's transparent. Is that correct, Trustee Barrera?
I believe that because this is a process that's governed by PERB, that if PERB verifies that a majority of eligible bargaining unit members have signed the petition and that those signatures are correct, then recognition occurs at that point.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so then what PERB does is they go through and they will, it's my understanding, make sure that those signatures are valid and that the intent was pure. And that's where maybe a few people will say that I wasn't sure of what I was signing, and then those names will come off the list. And that's what PERB will do, and that's what they do. So to make sure that everybody that put their name on there, that the intent is true and clear. And so then the request from people, from many speakers and folks tonight, is to delay the resolution. But what are we delaying? We're delaying basically a non-action that just says what has factually transpired today, which is in compliance with California state law, and then it just asks and calls on everybody to honor and continue to comply with state law through this process. Now, I have no idea what's going to be the outcome of this process. I had no idea when Preuss voted and the employees of Preuss Charter decided that they wanted to become a union. That's not a vote that this board makes. So I don't really see this resolution as being something other than just stating factually where we are in the process and factually asking everybody to continue through the process in a polite, professional manner where we respect everybody else's right to make a decision, where we all parties treat each other with respect that they are due under the law. And so to that extent, I don't see this resolution as being, I'm surprised, to be honest with you. I'm actually surprised that this resolution is so controversial, because it just states fact of the state law and just calls on everybody to continue to comply with state law. So I think it's relatively innocuous, to be honest with you. And so because this resolution reiterates state law, and because this resolution underlines the fact that this process is codified in state law, and it just calls on all parties to continue to treat one another with respect and dignity that they're due as professional adults. So for those reasons, I believe that this resolution is something that we as a board should support, because it simply asks everybody to follow state law. So with that, please vote.
President Advisor, I believe that the motion and second was on E1 and E2. Did you want to take those together or separately?
The motion was for the consent, and so now we're voting on the consent. Yes. Please vote again. I'm sorry, ma'am, you're out of order. You're out of order. The motion on the floor was the consent calendar, or the consent E1, E2, and E1, E2 passes on a 4-1 vote. Now we move on to item F, the operational matters reserved for the board. F1 is a public hearing to consider the renewal of charter petition for Elevate Elementary School. Superintendent Cindy Martin, will you please present the item?
Thank you, President Beiser. This is the renewal of charter petition for Elevate Charter School. It's a public hearing regarding the renewal. The school is seeking a renewal of its charter for a 5-year term beginning July 1st.
I'm sorry, just to interrupt. Could we just take a quick 30-second caucus?
Yeah, let's take a 2-minute break. 120 seconds.
After you rushed up here.
Could we? Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, we have a motion from Trustee Barrera to separate the last two items.
Yeah.
And so basically, I believe under Robert's Rules of Order, the motion is to reconsider item E1. I have a motion to reconsider item E1.
I so move that
and we have a second. So the motion by Trustee Barrera is to reconsider item E1 with a second from Dr. McQuarrie. All those in favor of item E1, please vote. And that motion carry. That's the vote to reconsider the motion. Now item E1 is on the floor.
Now I will make a motion to approve item E1.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion by Barrera, second by McQuarrie. Please vote on item E1. And that is approved 5-0. On to item F1, which
I will now make a motion to approve item E2.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item E2. Is there a second? We have a motion by Barrera, a second by McQuarrie. Please vote. And that motion carries 4-1.
Okay.
All right. All right, Superintendent Cindy Martin, please present item F1, which is a public hearing.
Thank you, President Beiser. As I said, E1 is the public hearing for Elevate Charter School, and they're seeking a renewal for the 5-year term that would begin July 1st, 2019, ending June 30th, 2024. And Ms. Deidre Walsh from our charter office will present this item. Or if you have a presentation.
Thank you.
Public hearing.
Yes, I could do a couple sentences. Thank you. So in addition to seeking a renewal of its 5-year term, I would note that Elevate's initial charter petition was approved with conditions in December 2013 for a 5-year term beginning July 1, 2014. They currently serve grades K-5 at a private site and a co-located site with Vista Grande Elementary, and we've included some overview data, projected enrollments, board roster, and we will be returning at a subsequent meeting with a recommendation to approve or deny.
All right, we have speakers on the item. You have 2 minutes each. Ryan Elliott, Marcy Wymore, Rachel Medlin, Lindsay Viducic, Frida Callahan, and Joshua Santiago. Please come forward and speak in any order. You have 2 minutes each.
Good evening, Superintendent Martin, Board President, and Board Member. My name is Mercy, and I'm a 4th grader at Elevate Elementary. I've been attending Elevate since 2nd grade. I'm honored to be the first of several speakers share with you about our awesome school. One of the things that makes Elevate so great is that we learn to be leaders and use the 7 habits. I love how the staff and teachers care for us so deeply and help us be successful. Thank you for letting me share a little bit about my school. Now I would like to present our principal, Mr. Elliott.
Good evening, Superintendent Martin and Board Trustees. It's a tough act to follow, following our students. Great job, Mercy. My name is Ryan Elliott, and I am the current and founding principal of Elevate Elementary. How appropriate it is to have a student leader be the first representative for our school community during our public comment portion of the evening. Central to Elevate's mission of inspiring students to be leaders and innovators is our commitment to helping students practice habit number 8. Yes, there is an 8th habit, which is to find one's voice and help others find theirs. Since our initial authorization, Team Elevate, comprised of teachers, staff, students, and parents, has worked together to establish a strong community in which the individual value of each child is recognized and the unique learning and socially emotional needs are addressed and supported. We are honored to be a leader in Me School, and Covey's 7 habits have most certainly been integral to the culture we have built together. Inspiring leaders means celebrating the growing diversity within our classrooms. We have the privilege of serving twice the number of English learners as a few years ago, along with a wide spectrum of special needs. And we had prepared to do all of ours within 10 minutes.
Okay, we can do that. Let's modify that. You've already used 4 minutes, and so is that, or
was that 2 or 4?
2? Oh, okay. But the student? Oh, okay. Yeah. So then 8.
Yeah. We'll stay within 10, I promise you that.
Sure.
Yep. Okay. In addition, serving a significant number of students from military families has added a special richness to our community, as well as all of our students, both military and civilian, interact regularly with real-life models of service and sacrifice. Our annual Veterans Day Assembly is both a highlight of the year and a tearjerker. But we are effective and our students are successful because our entire community has embraced the notion of team. This is critical when supporting a wide range of learning needs and personalizing each student's education. A brief walk around our Serra Mesa campus, which several board members have been to, both at Leadership Day and Exhibition Night, yesterday morning illustrated this ethos beautifully. Teachers and students worked diligently in classrooms. Several RTI and EL groups took place adjacent to an active PE class that was being supported by volunteer parents. The dynamism of supporting a diverse community with diverse needs was on full display. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to ask all of the members of Team Elevate, our parents, students, and staff, to please stand. As a school and as a team, we are well positioned to continue this work in the years ahead. We are proud of the hard work that led to our recognition as a California Distinguished School last spring, and we appreciate your consideration and support as we continue to engage in this important work with students. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Medlin, and I'm the mother of Vady, a 2nd grade student at Elevate Elementary. This is our 2nd year at Elevate, and we feel very fortunate to have found this school. The standard set at this school has challenged my daughter academically and helped her grow as a leader. We are the family of a currently deployed active duty sailor, and my husband deploys every year, and the staff and teachers have always supported my daughter through those difficult times. My family is not alone in dealing with military life. Military families make up a large portion of the Elevate student body. I've always appreciated the way that this school has embraced the military community. Last year, one of the parents, who's also a Marine Corps drill instructor, he volunteered to help run a PE class for the kids. He ran the kids through their own obstacle-like training in full Marine Corps uniform. To some, this may just seem really silly, but to a military kid, it felt like home. Finding a sense of community when you're a military family can be a challenge. Elevate has risen above that in so many ways, and I will be forever grateful. Elevate's renewal should be approved so that they can continue developing the next generation of leaders.
My name is
Lindsay Vidicic, and I'm a second grade teacher at Elevate Elementary School. Before I came to Elevate, I taught at 2 other elementary schools, but it was at Elevate that I truly learned to be an educator. One of Elevate's hallmarks is the collaborative teaching environment. Rather than focusing exclusively on our own classes and grade levels, all of the teachers at Elevate see the entire student body as our students. We work closely together as a staff to ensure that all students can succeed, meeting together to brainstorm positive behavior support strategies and including kids from other classes in our reteaching and enrichment small groups. My grade level teaching partner and I meet weekly to review student work and data from our classes and use that information to guide our instruction. We rely on each other's strengths to improve our own teaching. Every teacher at Elevate has an open door policy, and we regularly observe in each other's classrooms as a part of our professional development. This practice has helped to create a culture of collaborative support, and it also allows for creative ideas to be shared between grade levels. The benefits of this collaboration can be seen in our project-based learning units, which have continued to improve in each of the 4 years that I've taught at Elevate. This year, our second graders have worked together to celebrate the community, or the diversity of our school community through family history projects, created real businesses, and donated their profits to families in the developing world, and demonstrated care for our environment by planting a hanging garden at our Serra Mesa campus. Our students are putting their learning into practice to make a meaningful difference in the world, and I'm honored to teach at Elevate. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Martin and board members. I'm Frida Callahan, a founding member of Elevate Elementary Charter School. 5 years ago, we received your authorization to open as a charter school. Now we're returning for our first renewal. Back then, we had a school on paper. Now we've returned with a plethora of student success stories and a resume of academic achievement that speaks to the remarkable efforts of our students, staff, and parents. In each of our 4 years, the percent of students who scored at level 3 or higher on the math aspect ranged from 75 to 84%, and the percent of students who scored at level 3 or higher in the English language arts portion ranged from 80 to 89%. This led to our being honored as a California Distinguished School last spring. Dr. Elmer, who's a professor of education at Harvard, stated that in order for teachers to be able to improve student performance, it's imperative for schools to provide teachers with a structure to help them assimilate new knowledge so they can help students to consistently perform at the highest level, and for teachers to understand the connection between the academic performance of students and the practices in which they engage. The school must have a well-articulated mission anchored in student learning of core disciplines and skills, one that is derived from data analysis of student learning based on specific content in a specific setting. Elevate has a clearly articulated model of adult learning which develops, reinforces, and sustains group work. Continuous improvement is a given, and teachers engage in safe practice, modeling their teaching for each other, and subsequently giving each other feedback on teacher learning and practice. Accountability has to be a reciprocal process. For every increment of performance demanded, there has to be an equal responsibility for a school or a district to provide teachers with the capacity to meet that expectation. A strategy for investing in the knowledge of skills of educators, and this is the model we use at Elevate. Since year one, we created an academic task force, administrators, teachers, and myself, who meet twice a month to support all of our teachers to meet the needs of all students. The intent of the ATF is to provide continued targeted support and intervention of students and to support teachers to be able to do that. The task force monitors not only student learning and achievement, it continually adjusts what new expectations are being made on teachers and how best to provide training and capacity and time for teachers to be able to achieve their goals to help children grow. At Elevate, there is ongoing investment in both student development and teacher development, and we believe that this is what makes us a highly successful school. Thank you for your continued support, where we do indeed work hard, are kind, and dream big.
Hello, Superintendent Martin and School Board Trustees. My name is Joshua Santiago Diepa, and I am in 3rd grade. I have attended...
Can we please have the camera on the child and not the board, please? Who's in the video room? I apologize. We'll give you extra time. Thank you. Okay, now could you start over all the way from the beginning, please? Thank you.
Hello, Superintendent Martin and school board trustees. My name is Joshua Santiago Diepa, and I am in 3rd grade. I have attended Elevate since kindergarten. I really like that we do STEAM with Miss San Pedro. Right now our STEAM unit is technology, and we are learning how to code. I am building on my understanding from last year. Elevate has helped me with my leadership skills, and everyone at Elevate is very nice. I like the 7 habits and even teach them to my younger brother at home sometimes. He will definitely be ready for kindergarten at Elevate next year. Thank you for listening to our speakers tonight. I hope that you approve Elevate's renewal so that my friends and I can continue to go there, and my brother too.
Thank you. Board member comments or questions?
One quick question for Ms. Walsh. I notice on the schools by resident boundary, I'm assuming that students either live in the San Unified District or live outside. I don't think there's any other category. And yet the percentage here is only like 50 or 60%.
Yes, so
What's
they
the third
draw
category?
A large percentage of their enrollment is district students. Only 6.6% come from outside of the district. These are the schools listed here that are the kind of the top draw from the schools.
So there could be 1% from a lot of different
They
schools.
pull from 55 different elementary schools, and so at some schools they might only be pulling 1 or 2 students. Which
Thank you
is
for the
very small
clarification.
I have visited the school at least, I think, once every year. They've invited me to come and to observe what's going on. And I must confess that one year I was so impressed I wanted a high school to go and visit what they were doing with their students. So it was wonderful to see the little one speaking to us. Where is he? Out there in the audience. It's wonderful to see him participating and what's going on there.
Yeah, I have also visited the school the last couple of years. Very impressed with the collaboration that takes place with the school and their community, the partnerships that they have with their instructors and their staff. The way the students greeted me as a visitor and act as true ambassadors of their school and representatives, their program, The Leader in Me, is one incredible piece of work. It teaches engagement, teaches leadership, teaches confidence, and I was able to see that the students we saw here tonight, we'd want to think that they were exceptional, and they are, but I saw a number of students and had conversations with the majority of the students at that school who exhibited the same sense of competence and agency. So there are things happening at the school that is far more than just academic scores. I really am developing students as leaders, and I look forward to seeing the data and looking forward to the next action hearing.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I visited Elevate many times. I voted for the charter, and I look forward to voting to renew the charter again. I think they're doing a phenomenal job, and I really, really appreciate all the work that the teachers and the staff have done to help those children just achieve phenomenal academic success there. So thank you very much. We are not voting this time. This time it's just a public hearing, and then at the next meeting, when it's on the agenda, we'll actually be voting on the renewal of the Elevate Charter School. All right? Superintendent Cindy Martin, do you have any additional comments or response?
No, I do not.
Okay, that concludes item F1. On to item F2, which is a public hearing to consider the renewal of charter petition for Harriet Tubman Village Charter School. Superintendent Cindy Martin, will you present the item in about 45 seconds?
Testing.
Thank you, President Beiser. This again is a public hearing for Harriet Tubman Village Charter School. This public hearing is where the school is seeking the renewal of its charter for a 5-year term beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2024. Ms. Walsh?
Thank you. The only items I would add to that are, if you look at the summary of charter petitions and renewals, you'll see that Tubman is one of our oldest charter schools, beginning July 1, 1994. They serve grades K-8. We've included the projected enrollments, the board roster, and the resident boundary schools, and we will bring forward a recommendation to grant or deny at a subsequent meeting.
Thank you. Let's go to public speakers. Did you guys kind of coordinate so you have a 10-minute presentation? Okay, so we'll just put 10 minutes on the clock, and then just for the record, let me read the names of people that have submitted to speak in support of the renewal of the charter petition for Harriet Tubman Village Charter School. Gabriella Benuet, Oscar Benuet, Margaret Anastasio, Rebecca Stribling, Fatuma Gayo, Stephanie Cordova, Ishmael Ismail, and Aaron Landau. And then we also received an additional speaker slip from Mark Hall. All right, you have a total of 10 minutes.
So we have we have a additional, we thought that was additional speakers, so we have our own presentation that is not on that list. Is that okay? So we have our own speakers that are not on that list, and we have additional speakers, but what would you prefer?
Okay. So the people that I just read, the 9 people that I read, are not on your list?
Oh, no, they are, but they're in addition to. But if we have 10 minutes total, then...
Yeah, it's 10 minutes total.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine, thank you. Okay. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Martin. My name is Ryan Woodard, and I am the CEO and principal at Harriet Tubman Village Charter School. I want to start off this evening with a brief message about how far Tubman has come since I've been able to serve here. Our goal is simple. We want to provide a sound mind with a sound body that will lead to a sound future. Every day, our students and parents strive to make this happen within our community. Over the past year and a half, I have seen firsthand how we have come together to make Tubman a special place for students to be served with this wraparound service philosophy. Our students have gained both academic and social-emotional knowledge that will equip them with the right tools to tackle not only the educational challenges, but also any they may face in the real world. As a staff, we've been able to come together and write and receive a $100,000 Fab Lab grant, shout out to Ms. Sharif, to do a complete makeover to our science classroom curriculum and program. In addition, we have been able to successfully negotiate a 3-year contract with our union that places values on our teachers while still having the students' best interest at heart. This has led to minimal staff turnover and helped foster a school culture where people are respected and all ideas are welcomed. And ultimately, we are able to focus on our village and create a diverse community where students love to come to school. While I'm very proud of these accomplishments, I'm even more proud of the amazing students, parents, and staff that I am lucky to work with each and every day. I could continue to give examples about how our students are growing and learning, but I would like you to hear firsthand about the community successes from them. I know you will enjoy their stories and listen to their accomplishments as much as I have. Thank you.
Good evening, San Diego Unified School Board. My name is Zahaba Ibrahim, and I promoted from Harriet Tubman in June of this year. I attended for 9 years and still enjoy coming back to volunteer to this day. Harriet Tubman helped me grow from a shy young girl to an outspoken young lady. This school provided me with helpful resources, faculty member who want nothing but for me to succeed, as well as a safe and comfortable environment that helped me grow into the person I am today. I came into Harriet Tubman with the mindset of not liking school, but it is now safe to say that it's like my second home. When I left for 2 months in 6th grade to attend a different school, I immediately wanted to return because I realized that there's no other school that can top Tubman in my heart. In attending this school, I grew both academically and socially. When I first started, I remember disliking certain subjects because I didn't understand them. But with remarkable teachers and plenty of opportunities to get help, I was very prepared for high school. They taught me lessons beyond what was expected and got me into the mindset of not messing around because you act the way you play. Due to the help of staff members, I stayed on top of my workload, got help, joined extracurricular activities, and got involved with the community, which has been very helpful in high school thus far. It's the type of school that cares about each and every single student's well-being and education, as well as every student's voice being heard and giving every child an opportunity to grow. Harriet Tubman was the best school for me these past 9 years, and I'll forever be grateful for the many opportunities they have given me and the many lessons that I have learned. Thank you and have a good evening.
Good evening, San Diego Unified School Board. My name is Hawa Ahmed. I am a mother of 5 children.
Again, can we please have the person in the control room keep the TV on the speakers? Thank you. I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and add more time. Please begin again. For some reason, the person in the control booth is turning the camera away from the speakers. Thank you.
Good evening, San Diego Unified School Board. My name is Hawa Ahmed. I am a mother of 5, and I am a staff member at Harriet Tubman. I started enrolling my children in 2009. At that time, it was a closest school where I lived. I can honestly say this is the best decision I have made in regards to my children's academic growth. At that time, my oldest child was 8th grade. My second oldest was 7th grade. My third oldest was 3rd grade. My second youngest was kindergarten, as she mentioned it. So they all promoted the Harriet Tubman Charter School, and they came back to work and volunteer and participation in school events. And now I have my youngest child in kindergarten. I'm working as well in here at the school. I have recommended this school and many the people that I know and communities. And they also told me it's a great school and best decision we can take to enroll our children in this school. Harriet Tubman is a place where my family and I have found refuge. It's the school my children and have called their second home, as she mentioned it. The community and environment are safe, are both safe. The staff members are very friendly. And I know I am not the only one. I am not the only one who feels this way towards this school. I love this school because it's safe. It's a great fit academically for my children and entire community. Harriet Tubman will always be our second home. It will always hold our special place in my family heart. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Luis Hernandez. I am an alumni from Harriet Tubman Village Charter School over the 5 years since I promoted. I attended Harriet Tubman from 1st grade to 8th grade. And if it were not for the vigilance and support I received from the teachers and staff, I would not be here today. I would not be standing here, possibly alive. If it were not for them, I strongly believe I could have been on the streets. If it weren't for the teachers that persuaded me to stay in school at Tubman, and sorry, if it weren't for them, I would have been in the streets right now, because I was on the verge of my parents divorced at the time. And so my understanding of life was really just, I was on my own. I needed to expand and go find another place, or new people to carry my life with. And so when I spoke to teachers and staff there about my situation, they stood there giving their time up to speak to me, and they didn't need to, they didn't have to, but they chose to. After school, I stayed there for hours doing my homework with them, just to sit there and communicate my life with them. And if it weren't for them, I would have been, like I said, I would have been gone. But if it was their support and their vigilance that helped me and understand that life is like my life was meaningful and I need to keep going and stay there. So I had my parents wanted me to be away from that school because they thought that I spent too much time over there. But I told them that it was a home that if I didn't feel safe being at my parents' home, I'd rather be at school. I dedicate so much time and effort into that school, being there, doing the sports, the clubs, and just really living my life there. So it was one of those milestones for me to having a second family, which was Harriet Tubman. And 5 years later from promoting from that school, I stand here to come back and support my home that took care of me and made time for me as they did for every other student there at Tubman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Martin. My name is Brooke Shuro, and I teach 7th and 8th grade math at Harriet Tubman. This is my 3rd year at Tubman and my 7th year teaching. Speaking honestly, during my first year at Tubman, it became clear to me that the school did have some issues to work through. Administration, staffing, and curriculum, and added to the many challenges that come with the demographics of our community, and I thought, what have I gotten myself into? But despite the challenges, I stuck it out, and I'm so happy that I did. We now have consistent leadership that has worked with teachers to adopt the best curriculum and teaching practices for our students across all grade levels. Our staff is so dedicated not only to our students' academic success, but also to working long hours to plan numerous events and activities, all which our students and our families deserve. I've learned so much about what it means to be an educator. It's not all about reading, writing, and math. I've learned that I cannot reach my students academically if they're not taken care of socially and emotionally. And at Tubman, we go above and beyond with community-based programs such as ACEs, Boys to Men, Girls Inc., as well as having 2 full-time counselors on site every single day. It didn't take long for Tubman to capture my heart, and I know it's where I belong. I am dedicated to spending my future and my career there, so I ask that you please approve Tubman's renewal for the next 5 years. Thank you.
Evening, members. My name is Oscar Banueta. I'm going to have to step back because I have a loud voice anyway, so you're going to hear me. My name is Oscar Banueta. I'm one of the program mentors at Boys to Men, and we're very happy and very proud to be partnered with Harriet Tubman School. We have 2 groups in that school. We meet every Thursday. It's over 24 boys, and believe it or not, Luis is one of our graduating boys and mentors in our program that we are proud to have there. We meet with these boys because we are there to support, and we are happy that the school also models part of our vision in our program, which is making better men. So I'm here to just support. Me and Army Director Mark Hall are here to just offer our support, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Mark, and we just want to thank you for the time, and I want to thank Tubman for their time and their support. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Martin and the board. I just want to say real quickly, I have the most exciting job in the world. I get to work with principals who think outside the box. We meet some people whose minds are so closed and all they think about is their paycheck and retirement. Tubman is not like that. We get to work with the kids in school. When they get older, we work with them after school. We work with them about our camps. We deal with boys who become men, and that's what education is all about. It's book education, life education. That's what Tubman does. Yay, Tubman.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers that we didn't hear from?
Hi, my name is Margaret Anastasio. I'm a parent of a 4th grader at Tubman. I wanted to highlight the mission statement that we have. It's to ensure that our children develop the skills and knowledge that will empower them to thrive in a rapidly changing world. And my daughter, she is a leader, and it's because of our staff, and our principal has given us a facelift, and our school is just thriving.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Board member comments or questions? Okay, Trustee Barrera?
Yeah, I would just like to ask maybe the principal or somebody in the leadership at the school. So I've got to say it's striking hearing your presentation tonight, a unified school with a clear vision of success for students. And it's striking given where the school was several years ago. And, we were definitely, the conversations that unfortunately we were having about Tubman were all about division. Division between parents and students and faculty and administration, and frankly, division between the school and the district. And I wonder if you could reflect a little bit on what has taken you from that place to, where you are tonight.
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate that. I'm just one person, so that's really big for me. Yes, I am the leader of the school, but you can see behind me right here, we make decisions together. So that's why charter school was started, and I need to make sure when I first started here that everyone had a voice and everyone could share decisions together. So I understand the history. I'm reminded of that daily, but we honestly, we're full steam ahead right now, and we are getting people on board that, are finally coming around and said, oh, I sent my kids here 15, 20 years ago, and as the neighborhood changes and the demographics change and stuff like that, one thing is consistent, and that's family, and that's a village mentality. And we've been able to work together. Everybody has. We talk out our issues like anybody else does, but like you said, we're family, and we're here to help support one another through tough times and through good times and celebrate our successes together. Mm-hmm.
I just want to also commend the school because for a while it was the leadership, you had a lot of turnover with your leader, with the principalship, and we just wondered how things were going to come out with that, but it seems that things have really settled down, and proud of you guys.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Sort of a similar question, but a different group. It seems to me when I was there and several years ago, and there were issues with the governance and a lot of division and infighting there. Can you tell me where you are now and how you got from there to here?
Yeah, it's just clear and consistent communication, being as transparent as possible. I'm not here to hide anything whatsoever. These are public tax dollars that we're responsible for, and when we want to work together as a board, we're here to work through every issue. So, we talk through the issues together. We get input from staff, community members, parents, students, and really my job's pretty easy because I'm just going to do what's best for students, bottom line. And that's really what's led us to make a turnaround is we're on the same page, we're speaking the right language, our nomenclature is the same, and we're moving forward because we know what's best for students.
So what I hear you saying, you had a unified board working together, everyone on the same page,
everyone on the
making
same
it
page.
Happen.
Yep.
Okay.
I can speak to that. It's the board president right there.
My name is Aaron Landau. I'm the current president of the board. I came on the board in April of 2016, seeing what a challenge Harriet Tubman was with its trials and tribulations. And Harriet Tubman, I'm a member of the Mesa Sunrise Rotary, and the school has been an active member of that club for many years. And I took it on as a challenge, and the board, it's night and day. It's night and day. We work harmoniously. Hiring Ryan Woodard as CEO principal has turned the school around. Our enrollment is way up. We serve a 95% minority population that is integrating into the American mosaic, and it's a proud community. And there is consensus. We as board members, we voice our opinions, but we reach consensus, and we work with Mr. Woodard, and we're there for the students. It's a wonderful school, and I'm glad to serve on that board, and the community that's here represents what the best of Harriet Tubman Village Charter School is, and I'm in my second term. I have another year and 4 or 5 months, and I'm proud to be on that board.
sounds like it's a place where the 4-way test is not only taught but practiced.
Exactly. And like I said, a former high school teacher and retired now 10 years, and it's a pleasure to serve on that board. It gets better and better and better, and we're on our way.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Trustee Barrera.
Yeah, can I just ask Mr. Landau, you formerly taught at El Cajon High School, correct?
El Cajon Valley High School, home of the Braves.
I'm your former student.
Oh, my goodness. I was there for 25 years, retired in 2008. We have our tribal feast where returning faculty retirees come. And
that's good.
What year did you graduate?
1984. You had just begun.
That was my first year, 83, 84. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And could I just make one other
Go ahead, take your
point
time.
here? No, I would encourage anybody at in the Gompers community who's concerned about a school being able to come together with a common vision when the teachers unionize to go and visit Tubman. I think it's a great example of a school that has actually, come together, become unified, and what we've heard in the testimony is there's no lack of hard work and extra sacrifice that we see on the part of the teachers. So again, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Sorry to cut you off right there, but. Yes. I did not know that resolution was going to go there, and I wish I would have spoke. I wish I would have had some time, because really, I have excellent teachers, and that makes the world. It's a big difference. So everybody, give her up for our teachers real quick. And I couldn't do it without them every single day. And one of the words I use when I come home at night, and I don't think people want to paint it a negative word, but it's accountability. There's nothing wrong with accountability. So I keep them accountable, they keep me accountable, and around we go. And we have the students at our decision making every single time we make a decision. And honestly, we don't even start a meeting until we say our little mission, which is we are here to serve students and do what's best for students. So it makes it really simple, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you guys for all the work that you do day in and day out, and I look forward to voting for your renewal.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a 45-second recess to clear the room. He's got the clicker. All right, next item is F3. This is an action item. This is an action item on propositions S, Z, and YY, board updates, construction bond project plan, and resolution in the matter of approving revised propositions S, Z, and YY plan. Is there a motion on? We have a motion and a second. The motion is by Dr. John Lee Evans. The second is by Vice President Dr. Sharon Whitehurst Payne. Superintendent Cindy Martin, and we're joined by Lee Dolgoroff. Please present the item.
Thank you, President Beiser. This is to approve revised Props S, Z, and YY bond program plan and adopt the resolution approving the revised S, Z, and YY project plans and projects undertaken. And everything's, Mr. Dahlgroff will present that. As you know, this is a semi-annual facilities bond program update, and it provides an overview of the Prop S and Z capital facilities programs, and it also includes our plan to implement the Prop YY projects that were recently approved by San Diego voters.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, President Beiser, members of the board, Superintendent Martin, Kevin, and Dr. Mike. Congratulations on your successful re-elections. San Diegans clearly endorse the direction that our district is heading. We're also grateful for the voters' support of our facilities programs with their approval of Proposition YY. This report is an update on the financial status of our current Prop S and Z bond programs, as well as a look ahead and a plan to address the urgent needs and improve our school facilities over the next few years, and include the integration of Proposition YY projects. As we close out 2018, we have much to celebrate, including the grand opening of our Ocean Discovery Living Lab in October. We've been designing and building innovative education spaces to support our students and academic programs for the future, and the Living Lab is a great example of our progress. With the passage of Proposition YY, we intend to keep our promises to voters by prioritizing and accelerating projects to improve school safety, provide clean drinking water, and make instructional-focused facilities improvements outlined in the Proposition YY voter guide. Similar to the approach that we took when we passed Proposition Z in 2012, our plan is to integrate the Proposition YY projects with Proposition S and Z projects to help coordinate all of the planned improvements at each school, benefit economies of scale, and eliminate the potential for rework. Our larger complex projects will be designed and constructed in phases to reduce impact on students and schools. Proposition YY will provide the resources needed to accelerate the renovation and replacement of our aging school facilities. And in the future, board meeting staff is going to bring forth agenda items for board consideration to expand and update the current project stabilization agreement for the bond programs. Also provide ICOC citizens oversight of the propositions S, Z, and YY together, and also update the charter for the Facilities Advisory Committee, the Charter School Facilities Advisory Committee. One of the key features of our plan is school security. Student safety is our highest priority. And although physical facilities improvements are just one component of a comprehensive security strategy, to date, we've invested $50 million in security improvements at our schools. And with Proposition YY, we plan to invest $250 million over the next 5 years, $50 million a year. And we're going to focus in on a couple key areas with this work: securing a controlled single point of entry, campus perimeter fencing, and improving wired and wireless emergency communication systems for security. Another key area is drinking water quality. Proposition YY will provide the resources to replace plumbing fixtures and lead soldered pipe that contaminate drinking water. Our plan is to accelerate plumbing fixture replacement across the district to achieve a 5 part per billion bottled drinking water standard, and staff is currently evaluating the feasibility of moving to a 1 part per billion action level. In terms of progress underway, today we have 135 major projects completed, 64 new classroom buildings, 25 CCTE facilities, 557 aging portables were replaced. 32 major facilities projects and 35 air conditioning projects are under construction right this minute. And you can see the picture of the modernization project that moved forward at Innovations Middle, illustrating the full transformation from an old elementary school to a STEM curriculum-focused middle school is one example of these projects. I'm fortunate to have a dedicated staff and project management, construction management team, and I'm very proud of them and grateful to the effort to keep this work moving smoothly. Propositions S, Z, and YY have incredible potential to transform education spaces and support our academic programs. With the passage of YY, we now have the resources that we need to completely renovate all of our education spaces. Our modernized schools will have collaborative learning spaces, maker spaces, specialized learning environments that support STEAM, VAPA, and CCTE curricula. We work very closely with Torrin Allen and the entire IT department, and together we focus on advancing education technology at a large scale across our entire district. And each year we're replacing 5-year-old student devices. This year we replaced 38,000 student devices, primarily kindergarten, first, second grade, high school science, and we provided the students with new Chromebooks. We also replaced over 1,500 teacher laptop devices. Our technology advisory group, TAG, has recently updated the technology standards to meet the needs of our students and teachers. And in the 18-19 school year, we'll see the implementation of these new interactive displays and wireless sound reinforcement and the new standards. It's going to be really exciting, and you're going to see some changes in the classrooms. In terms of infrastructure, it takes a significant wired and wireless infrastructure to connect all the students and teachers, and we're continuing to maximize E-rate grants for wired and wireless infrastructure at all schools. We also plan to use this infrastructure to support the emergency communication systems I mentioned earlier. Air conditioning. The phase 1 of the district-wide air conditioning program is complete. We're at 41 of 46 education support spaces projects are now complete. We're into phase 2, which includes over 3,000 classrooms at 65 schools. 30 schools of those have been completed. 15 schools are in construction today, and the last 20 schools are expected to award design bid contracts in February of 2019. So we're on schedule. In terms of solar and sustainability, one of our Dream Big initiatives, the first phase of energy efficient solar design build contracts were awarded in 2016. And last summer, contractors installed photovoltaic panels at 8 schools. They're attached in these schools to carports and ground-mounted installations, and you can see some of the pictures here illustrating PV carports at Zamorano, EB Scripps, Mira Mesa, and Sarah High Schools. The second phase of our program will construct solar systems at 12 schools starting early next year, and our team is working on phase 3 as well in the design of phase 3. The total installation for phase 1, 2, and 3 will produce 21.5 million kilowatt hours annually and offset 6,600 tons of CO2 annually. And with voter approval of YY, we will now be able to achieve our climate action plan goal for net zero energy by 2030. In terms of joint use fields, in 2014, the board asked staff to develop a plan to improve our playground surfaces. We had a lot of decomposed granite fields. Our preferred approach is working with City of San Diego to develop a grass joint use field with City of San Diego to maximize public access to the spaces on weekends and during summer and after school. San Diego Unified now has 81 joint use fields that comprise over 290 acres. We recently completed 2 projects and 6 are in construction today, and we're working with City Parks and Rec on 24 more projects. In terms of charter schools, our charter school projects are funded by their pro rata share of Prop Z in the bond program, and you can see the slide summarizes the charter school projects that the board has approved. We've expended $90.9 million on district charter schools projects, facilities projects. In terms of communication, we believe that the participation and input we receive from stakeholders, parents, teachers, staff, and community members help to facilitate the design development process and improve the quality of our projects. And to date, we've conducted 355 site master planning design task force meetings And we have a very comprehensive website that tells all the stakeholders about planned projects underway at their schools. In terms of emerging business outreach, for calendar year 2018, our emerging business outreach is nearly 47%, which is pretty amazing. We've exceeded goals in all of the subcategories. This year, we've more than tripled the DVBE total market capacity for our area. In the minority-owned business category, we've achieved 7 times the market capacity, and more than 15 times the market capacity for women-owned business in that subcategory. And we're on track to meet all of our business outreach goals. And I'd like to appreciate the work of Karen Linehan and Alma Benuelos for their highly effective business outreach efforts. One of the reasons we're so successful is with this project is a micro projects program, which awards projects to certified small businesses. And in July, we hosted our 8th annual Business Outreach Construction Expo event for emerging business. So emerging businesses can learn about the business opportunities with San Diego Unified and other public agencies. Our 9-year partnership with the San Diego County Building Trades and Carpenters Unions has been a great success. Under the PSA, we've employed now over 9,800 workers on 131 projects. 26% of all our workers live in our target zip codes, which represent areas of our district with high free and reduced lunch participation. However, over 80%, 4 out of 5 workers from targeted zip codes are union members. The local Building Trades and Carpenters Union have referred over 1,550 residents from San Diego targeted zip codes to our construction projects. Union referrals are the reason that we're achieving these goals. They really are. 31% of the union referrals live in target zip codes, but in contrast, only 18.8% of non-union workers live in target zip codes. So this is the reason why we're reaching these goals. And if you look at the entire district boundary, that you can see a similar hiring pattern in terms of workers living in the boundary versus working outside the district boundary. To date, we've created 21,135 job years of work, local jobs, using the U.S. Department of Transportation methodology. So the PSA has really helped local workers and communities benefit from our capital bond program. Overall financial status, so we've issued $2.8 billion in bonds. Our expenditures against that revenue are $1.95 billion. We expended $344 million last fiscal year. We have right now $536.2 million of work in progress. So we're expending about $1.4 million a day. Our change order rate is by industry standards, relatively low, 2.8%. Our fiscal year 2017-18 financial and performance audits are positive. In fact, we've had, over the past 9 consecutive years, our bond programs have received the highest opinion auditors can offer on both financial and performance audits. This is a categorical breakdown of our work, the $1.95 billion in expenditures to date. Most of the work, as you can see, is in the category of major repair and replacement and student learning and instruction. And our bond program has made a significant improvement to the overall condition of the school facilities. The estimated FCI has improved now to below 17%. 4 years ago, it was 22%. And without our bond program, we project that it would have likely exceeded 27% at this time. In terms of future revenues, we plan to issue bonds at least cost to taxpayers, so short-term bonds for short maturity, useful life projects, longer bonds for larger projects. We plan to do the initial issuance of YY in sometime in the March or April timeframe, roughly $300 to $350 million. Our next S&Z issuances are planned for next fall. If you look at let's go to the next slide here. So in terms of the overall plan, which is included as attachment 1 of the item, the plan integrates the YY projects with the S&Z projects, and we do that to coordinate all these planned improvements and benefit economies of scale. And it prioritizes school safety, drinking water, sustainability, and instructionally focused facilities improvements that are outlined in the voter guide of YY. Also, we included, like we had in the past for transparency, we included a column that references the voter guide pages of each project, and the resolution includes that for transparency and in relation to back to the voter guide. In terms of committees, I'm trying to steal too much thunder from the ICOC, which is coming next, but our ICOC is functioning well as the Charter School Advisory Committee. Its three subcommittees meet regularly and review audits. They just reviewed our recent audit, and they produce quarterly and annual reports. And you're going to hear from our construction subcommittee chair, Bernadette Buckowitz, and Andy Berg coming up next. Major projects. These slides kind of spotlight a few of the big projects that are either in design or construction. If you drive down El Cajon Boulevard right now, it's hard to miss the 3-story classroom building that's under construction at Hoover, totaling about 80,000 square feet. And you can see the Spanish style design that is classic architecture, but it's energy efficient, new modern building. Also, Logan Memorial and Central Wilson projects are in construction right now that are pictured on this slide. This is a rendering of the new Emerson Bandini campus that's starting construction in 2019 and funded by these programs. And I want to close with Crawford High School. Much is happening at Crawford High School, and this is a video presentation of a new classroom theater administration building starting construction in June 2020 that'll be one of the first projects that's co-funded by YY. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Lee.
So it doesn't, with all of these buildings, it doesn't sound like there's money for fancy furniture for board member offices? Never mind.
Let's go to public testimony. We have one speaker opposed. Citizen, you have 2 minutes.
So, since 1998, the San Diego School Board has promised it would repair plumbing, electrical, hazardous lead paint, all these things. But Measure YY states that this board can change any projects, any plans at any time. And so what we're going to see is what the bureaucrats want. They want fancy new headquarters, new offices with AC, and the board is going to get it. It's just a matter of time, and it will be faster than it took you guys to deal with the lead. Bonds in billions will be a burden on taxpayers, increasing housing costs until the year 2052. There are 20 pages of bonds. 20 pages of bonds that will, and one 1998 bond alone will cost $6.8 million in interest in 2019. That's $7 million not spent on kids, but the cost of borrowing money. In closed session, this board discussed union negotiations. So I expect another agreement like this Prop S bond, giving teachers a nice paycheck for moving out of the classrooms. Now, we're going to refurbish and give them brand new classrooms, and on top of that, they get a nice fat paycheck for picking up their purses and their pictures and moving to another classroom. That's an extra fat paycheck that the taxpayers didn't know that bond money would pay for, and that's the kind of thing you guys do. You dip your funds in to do whatever it takes for the union to be happy. This includes paying money for movers, professional movers, to move the classrooms. So they didn't have to move much. They didn't have to move much. So on top of paying for professional movers, we paid for, we used bond money to give teachers an extra check of up to 64 hours. So we'll see if you guys can keep the promises. You made a lot of promises since 1998, and you didn't keep them. All you did was keep burdening the taxpayers with more money.
Okay, board member comments or questions?
I must start with the last, Crawford. I want to say thank you to the board, to Lee, to the staff. I think when I first came on board, Crawford was the school that I really, it just broke my heart to see how the condition that school was in. And when I look at the projections, I am so excited. I'm just really excited because it looks like a college campus almost now. And I remember this past year, for the first time, they had their graduation on campus, on the field. And to see this new field with the students walking across, I just wanted to just weep because it was so exciting to see the excitement on the faces of the students and to talk to them and find out how they are so proud of their school now. And that's what it's about. We've got to excite children so that they want to learn and they'll engage and they'll do what they need to do for the future. So I'm really excited about this school. And I just want to say thank you. That was the flowery part. Just a couple of things. Someone had raised a question about the fact that it appeared to them from their perspective that we weren't really meeting our targets in terms of the minorities, all the other subgroups, and you show that we exceed. So the question would be, how can we really make that known in a way that people really see it to know what's going on? And the other thing that I really want to comment on is the fact that now that we've passed this additional bond, I wish that there were a way that with our pathways, we could think about our students as they're going through. There should not be a student to graduate from our schools who either don't know that they can go to college with a subsidy from the community college through City College and what Constance Carroll is doing with that program. So when they come through, they should know we can go and get 2 years of free education at the community college level, or if they want to go into a trade, they should know that we're putting out money to do things to improve our schools, and I can begin to prepare for that. Just like at Garfield, when we did the luncheon there, the Thanksgiving luncheon, those students are connected to, I think it's Cohen on the restaurant group, so that we can give our students a leg up on that next step for them, not just kind of leave them, but to ensure that they're on that pathway, they'll finish, and then they'll move into the next stage of their lives with support from city schools. So thank you.
I want to share Trustee Whitehurst Payne's enthusiasm about what's happening at Crawford. I took that walk with you. You invited me to go along, and we cried as we walked through that facility, and committing ourselves to making a difference at that school, and it looks like that's coming to fruition. And I want to thank you and staff and everyone for that, and our taxpayers for helping us to make that happen. In addition, it looks like we'll be able to handle our drinking water issues. We're going to be able to bring about the Dream Big initiative and have sustainable and reach the net zero by 2030. I mean, how incredible is that? And then the other enthusiastic piece of information for me is a number of job years that we are creating. We're putting people to work right here in San Diego with their tax money. It's coming back to them for the parents and families of our children and who work, and they're taking an active part in building a quality school system in every neighborhood. I'm wondering about the Proposition 51. You estimated $150 million, and is that going to happen?
It looks, I mean, that's our best guess right now. We also know that there's an initiative to put another statewide bond measure on the ballot in 2020 for school facilities. So I think overall that might go up, but that's based on our eligibility and sort of the rates that we've achieved, or we've been able to receive money back from the state and matching grants.
Those are dollar for dollar match?
They're typically a 50-50 match, so they want 50% local participation.
Great work, thanks.
Yeah, Lee, I just again want to thank you as the point person for an incredibly large and Superintendent Martin district team that comes together and delivers on every promise that we make to the voters. And we make big promises. We promised, starting with Prop S, that we were going to bring our FCI down to, a point that all of our schools were in good condition, and we're well on our way towards doing that. We've promised that we're going to be an incredibly large job creator in our community, and particularly in our highest poverty communities, and we're delivering on that promise. We've promised that we're going to exceed the current market share around small minority and women-owned businesses, and we exceed that goal. We've promised that we're going to get to the point that our district is a net zero carbon emitter, and we're going to meet that goal. We've set an incredibly ambitious goal, although a critical goal, that we're going to be at 1 part per billion in our drinking water, and we're well on our way towards achieving that goal. You just think about the promises that we make because we think big, and then we ask our community to invest big, and they've done it every single time. Several of us were at a presentation from Linda Darling Hammond, Stanford education professor, a few weeks ago, and she was, presenting a sad reality of, California going from the finest public education system in the country down to near rock bottom, and that's true. And we deal on our operating revenue with that lack of investment every day. However, the way that Linda illustrated her point was to show a video of basically school facilities that were falling apart, broken pipes, bathrooms in disarray, roofs caving in, and unfortunately that continues to be the experience in a lot of places in California. We hope that the statewide bond measures can help alleviate that a little bit, but that's certainly not the story in San Diego, and it's because in San Diego we've had the ability as a local community to say, we're going to invest and we're going to create, a legacy for our students that's worthy of them. And we see the video of Crawford, and we see the slides of Hoover and Central Wilson and Logan and Emerson Bandini and so many of our other projects that, of course, are going to outlive all of us. But we talked about when we voted to put Prop YY on the ballot this year that we had confidence in this community that when we are asked as a generation of San Diegans to step up and sacrifice for our students, we've delivered. And we've delivered, by the way, it looks like we've passed the 65% threshold in our vote. So our community is so ready to invest in our kids, believes in our kids, and it's so important that when our community, makes that investment and takes on that sacrifice, that we as a district deliver, and we continue to deliver every day. And we're so proud of the projects that we've already completed. We're so excited about the projects that are already in the pipeline, but to see some of these projects that are coming and made possible by Prop YY, I think it just exceeds anything that may have been in our imagination, a decade ago. And Lee, again, thank you for your leadership in getting us there.
Well, just one Crawford story going way back to 2008. I was going to a meeting there, and it didn't happen, and there were some kids milling around after school. And they just said, look at this place. It's run down, it's dirty, nobody cares about us. I mean, that's what they directly told me. And so then to see this is really amazing. And it's really great what we're doing, too, in terms of the local workers working on our projects. What I would like to see at one of these presentations sometimes is to have a group of young San Diego Unified graduates who are working on these projects, that they're, maybe in their 20s or something, and they, they were going through school at the beginning of Prop S and Prop Z, and they're out there working now. And it also would be interesting to see, we talked about a teacher pipeline, we talked about, the college prep pipeline. I'd like to hear from say, juniors and seniors who are going to go into trades that are potentially going to lead them to working on San Diego Unified projects. But whichever one of the trades, I think we just need to emphasize that so we can actually see, we can see it statistically, but we can just see a real-life example of how we do have a pipeline for improving our community and our schools.
If I could just add to that, I think it's so exciting, and we focus because of the obvious reasons on the construction work, but of course that pipeline includes everything that goes into these projects. This is our future designers, these are our future engineers, these are our future construction managers, these are our future auditors. Every step of the way. I do believe that this is a career pathway that can excite a lot of our young people.
Which is similar to what we're doing with, say, broadcast journalism, because people are reporters, people are anchors, they're working the cameras, they're working the computer equipment. It's a lot of things.
I want to thank the voters who overwhelmingly, I believe it's over 65% of the vote now, over 65% of voters voted to invest in our schools, to keep our schools safe. So that's huge. And so I look forward, it's my understanding that in December, we will be having a conversation about fast-tracking water programs so that we can get the lead out very, very quickly. And so that I look forward to, the board taking up and taking action to move post haste to make sure that we're, following our commitment to the voters who voted to keep our kids safe by getting the lead out. And I know that those drinking stations are going to be phenomenal opportunities for students who want to use water bottles, and that way we don't have to have plastic bottles constantly turning. This is the first bond since Sandy Hook. And so this is going to give us the opportunity and the resources to honestly and seriously address any additional safety measures that we might want to take. We passed a climate action plan to mitigate our carbon footprint by 2030, and so I'm very excited that Measure YY allows us to accomplish that goal in a meaningful, realistic way. A lot of people like to talk about how we do use bond money for educational facilities, athletics, physical education facilities, because students in our schools are engaged in physical activity. It's physical education. It's a requirement in the state of California. But we also have invested a lot of those resources into modern 21st century classrooms with the technology that our students know, we know they need to have the literacy skills, the technology skills, maybe not, the computers that we're using now, in 10 or 15 years, we know are going to be completely different. There wasn't, iPhones have only been around for a few years. Think of that. But we do know that they need to have those skills to understand overall technology as it evolves, and problem-solving skills, and art, to be creative, to think. And that's why music and arts and performing arts centers are a very important piece of helping our students to prepare for the kinds of jobs that they're going to need to be ready for. And thank you so much for your continued follow-through to implement board policy to put air conditioning in every classroom in the city. Thank you for that. Kids should never have to be learning in a 90, 100-degree classroom. Thank you. And I've been on the board for 8 years now, and I don't think it's a coincidence that for 9 years we've had a perfect straight A from external audits on our bond program. So with that, thank you so much. This is an action item. We do have a motion on the floor. If there aren't any other comments or questions, please vote. And that motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much. We now move on to agenda item F4, which is an information item only. This is the Independent Citizens Oversight Committee, or ICOC, Propositions S and Z, semi-annual update to the board. Bernadette Buckowitz, ICOC Construction Subcommittee Chair, and Andy Berg, the ICOC member, PowerPoint information. Please present the item.
Good evening, board. I'm sure you've had a long day. Exciting stuff going on. Being a graduate of San Diego Unified, having actually gone to plenty of classrooms and bungalows at Patrick Henry High School and Lewis Middle School, I can tell you that it's been an exciting time the last 2 years on the construction subcommittee, and seeing you properly and adequately use our public dollars towards fixing these schools. Because, like you said, over 65% on Prop YY. I mean, that is just amazing in itself. It just shows that San Diegans believe that you are, honest stewards of their money, and you are using these funds for the things that you're, saying you will. And that's all I've seen on the ICOC.
Just a couple of quick things. I've been on the ICOC, almost since the start of Prop S. Had to sit off 1 year because the law required doing that, and then I've come back onto it. So I also served on 3 other ICOCs previous to that around the county. And I came here really, one of the things I wanted to say at first, and then we'll talk about the future a little bit, but the staff here is the best at what they do. I mean, simply. And I've been on other good programs. There are other good programs around the county, but this staff is the best. And I really don't need to tell you that, because, as has been said over and over again, the voters kind of stole my thunder on that one, right? If they weren't doing a good job, you wouldn't get 65% of the vote to take another $3.5 billion, which is just a ton of taxpayer money, and they trust you to do that right. So let's talk just a little bit about going forward, because as they say, what have you done for me lately, right? So we've done a great job up till right now, and tomorrow starts a new day, and we've got to do really well with that $3.5 billion plus what's left of Prop S and Prop Z. We looked at some of the numbers, and I want to talk to you as board members for a second. If we do this right, we're going to have an FCI of 7% in 2030. 7% is probably a better FCI than there is in my house. I mean, and we keep redoing my house way more often than I would like to, but my wife seems to like to keep fixing it up. I mean, it would really be that good if we could do it. But one of the things we have to do, and the ICOC members will be the only ones to tell you this, but you need to spend general fund money on ongoing maintenance. Right? Everybody comes up here and tells you we need better teachers, more counselors, music programs, art programs, all really important things. They all have their lobbyists lined up. We're the only two that will ever tell you your facilities need to be painted and the carpet needs to be replaced and other stuff like that. And that's really not bond money stuff, all right? You gotta do that during the budget. Otherwise, $3.5 billion, even as big as it is, won't go as far as you think it will. So that is really important. I have a couple of requests, and maybe the last one's even more of a demand than a request, but the request is, and I think that you might have just handled that, is to make sure that the ICOC is one ICOC. Because there's no way that you can have multiple ICOCs tracking different pots of money when it's the same projects. That would be a problem. In the same light, though, too, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that want to have different watchdog groups that look over this. When I started on the ICOC, we had 4 subcommittees plus an executive subcommittee. The first act I did was make that into 2 subcommittees and the executive subcommittee. Our chair met with the superintendent monthly, right? Superintendent Martin, right? Monthly meetings. For what reason, I have no idea. I called your superintendent up. I said, can I have your cell phone? I'll give you mine. If I need to talk to you about something, will you pick up the phone? And she said, yep, anytime you want. I said, good, no more monthly meetings. She's really busy. Lee's really busy. They don't need to have 3-4 meetings with different groups every month to tell them the same thing that we're going to tell them, all right? And that's, and that follows kind of to my demand here, and that is to follow the project list. When people read $3.5 billion, everybody wants a piece, and there are a lot of politically connected people. I mean, I kind of consider myself one of them. I probably have most of your cell phone numbers in my own Rolodex, but please don't do something that was not listed in that project list, and hopefully Andre will tell you the same thing. You can't do that. I mean, I just heard a rumor today, somebody wants, a dog park. Go talk to your city council member, with all due respect, if you want a dog park. That's not coming out of bond money. It's not something we promised the voters. More than 200,000 people voted yes on this bond based on the list we told them we were going to build. So please follow that, or again, the $3.5 billion won't go very far. Finally, a promise from us to you, and we've never had to do this, but if it happens, this is a promise, and if we had anybody from the public, I'd be promising it to them too. They seem to all left after the charter schools. When something's going not right, we don't think it's going right, we're going to talk to staff. And if we don't get answers we want, we're going to talk to you. And if we still don't get answers we want, we're going to talk to the press. That's our job. Like I said, we've never had to do that. It's always been done really, really well. But I just want to make sure, and I want the public to have the confidence that there is an oversight committee that is really overseeing the projects and making sure they're done correctly. That is our job. So far, so good. First few $1 billion spent really, really well. Let's spend the rest of it and make these kids happy. Make these kids succeed in school. That's the bottom line. I'll just close with what I told people, and I said, why are you doing this? Why are you even helping with the campaign? I said, I want my neighbor to grow up to be an engineer, not to grow up to mug me on the street. Simple, real basic. That's the whole idea. We want every kid to have an opportunity to be as successful as their natural talent and drive will take them, and this is what it takes. So thank you for letting us serve.
Thank you. Any board member comments or questions?
Just thanks a lot for all of your service. Yeah.
I'd like to say thank you for our new arrangement. We made a deal. You said, would I always be available? And I said, we have an agreement that when I call you, you answer. When you call me, I answer. And that's worked out very well. And we haven't had to do it very often, but when we have, it's worked. And I appreciate the partnership and the insight and the experience and the history and the passion you have for this work. Thank you for your service.
I do want to just go along just because Lee did help us with this great PowerPoint. And so just laying out a little bit, our construction, finance, executive, you know how the subcommittees work, the issued money so far that we have had oversight over. Also, just like we said before, I mean, these facilities are actually amazing. I mean, I, for one, saw my first 3D printer at Innovation Middle School. And, you know, Morris High School with their culinary, and you're creating, you know, careers for these kids. As you said before, in construction, you know, these kids that are getting into the apprenticeship, that's just the start, right? You're creating 20, 30-year careers because they are now in, you know, these prospective careers and pathways that they will now go work on other projects after San Diego Unified's projects. So that's also an incredible thing to note, that you're not just, okay, 6 months, we all know you're working in construction, right? You're working yourself out of a job. But when you're picking these careers and these apprenticeships and these pathways, you're really deciding on the next 20, 30 years of your life if you want to. Do you want to talk about any of the high school?
I just want to say that's really important. I mean, that was one of the big selling points when we got the first project stabilization agreement, was this is not, I mean, I love the number of hours of jobs, that's wonderful. I love the fact that you think we're creating a lot of jobs, but we're not. We're creating a lot of careers. And it makes a big difference because when the job ends, this employee now is working for a particular contractor who might have rebuilt Lincoln High School or Crawford High School. That particular contractor might have a job remodeling a Target store. And that same kid who got his career started because of this bond program is now remodeling a Target store. And that's still great because they're going to do that for 30 years. Then they're going to have a pension, and they have full health insurance for their family the whole time they're working. It's just an amazing thing that you guys have made sure happens for them. But don't limit it to just our graduates are rebuilding our schools, because they're doing so much more than that. They're rebuilding our whole county and community.
And as Rich Breyer mentioned before, a lot of these students, right, they could be going and starting these small businesses that you're outreaching to. I mean, like, I have to do another shout out to Karen Linehan, because the business outreach list, I mean, I just like look at her, I'm like, how do you do it? It goes on and on. She really does a great job of getting those small businesses out there, and those small businesses can then go succeed on other projects, right? Yep. You just need a few successful jobs in order to then go ahead and be a successful small business. So it's incredible to kind of see that develop, right? Because you can see the names then go on that construction on the construction list, and you're like, oh, I remember this contractor that you outreach. So it really comes full circle. Financial audits, we just had our financial audit. We get reported back every quarter. And then performance audits.
We do the audits every year, but we do quarterly reports. So every year, and as President Beiser said, the last 9 years have been what's called an unqualified audit, which is the highest you can get from any auditor. It sounds kind of weird.
The A+.
Yeah. I guess a grade. As a teacher would say, yeah.
A+.
We just call it an unqualified audit. And in the last 3 years, actually, there have been absolutely no findings, which kind of amazes me, because even in my business, when we get audited, there's always one or two things they say we could do better. And they did the first couple of years, but they were, little nitpicky things. But there's always something like that. Last 3 years, there hasn't even been a nitpicky thing. So that's pretty amazing.
There's that 7% target by 2030. I mean, like you said, very aggressive, but I mean, we're below 17, right? Who thought we'd get there? So it's incredible to kind of see the improvement. And then expectations, complete $216 million in MRR work, begin construction on another 80 projects. I mean, when we're looking at these project lists, right, these are sheets long, and they're keeping track of every one of them. I mean, staff, as we have mentioned before, they can tell you the detail, down to the details, and the crack in the sidewalk that's causing the delay on this project, right? But I think somewhere on here, 2.8% change order rate. I mean, that's just in construction, that's like nearly impossible. So again, just very efficient and amazing
You
stuff.
had a thing up there about teachers. I'd be remiss. One of the speakers earlier said something about money going to pay for teachers' salaries. If that Trust me, that would be one of the things I'd be bringing to your attention if that was happening. It's not legal. That doesn't happen. It won't happen. No money's going to go to pay anybody's salary.
Yeah, when public speakers speak, it doesn't have to be factually correct at all. They can say whatever they want.
When anybody speaks anytime anymore, it doesn't have
Correct.
to be factually
And we don't, you know, and so I really appreciate you commenting on that.
I do give the speaker credit for at least not doing an anonymous tweet behind a computer, being actually up here in person, so I'll give her credit for that. But that particular statement is not accurate.
I also think, we mentioned Chromebooks and the investment in those computers. I think, something that was fascinating to me is that they're actually using these in the classrooms, right? With 1.6 million logins with students, it obviously goes to show, and students as early as, K through 5, and they're using these early, which is key, right? If they start understanding the concept of these touch screens and things like that, it's only going to help them as they develop in their careers later on, right? And then, obviously, our meetings are always open to the public. We do get some public testimony every once in a while, and we encourage it, and we invite anyone to go online to see what our subcommittee meetings are as well.
I appreciate Andy pointing out the role of the ICOC and what you were there to do, and point out if that you're checking to make sure that we're doing what we promised we would do. And we were talking about how things change over time. I remember 10 years ago when I came on the board, there was this different concept in the ICOC about approving projects, or we want this, or we want that, and it got very confusing, as opposed to the very, very specific role that you have.
As much as people want it to be something other, it's a rear view job.
Right.
We look in the rear view mirror, we make sure you did what you were supposed to do, and if you didn't, we'll report that, and we'll try to make sure it doesn't happen again or it gets corrected. It's not our job to tell the staff what to do. It's not the staff's job to tell you what to do. That's all backwards, even though that's the way people think it is. You tell the staff what you want them to do, they implement it, we make sure you're following what you told the voters. Period. It's not really that complicated, and I guess people just, they want to be more a part of that, and I always tell them that's fine. There's an election every 2 years, and you guys have to run against whoever wants to run against you. And if somebody wants to do more than we do, they should do that.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you guys waiting till the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, that was an information item. We do have a public speaker, citizen. All right, let the record show that citizen is not present and responsive. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Are there any more speaker slips on non-agenda? All right. We are adjourned. The next regular meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 11th, 2018. We are adjourned.